Hi, Andy Kavanaugh with Apex. Here today, again, answering questions about buying a business from some of our newer buyers. A few weeks ago, I said a buyer-seller meeting in one of our videos and had the question come in that said, what exactly happens in a buyer-seller meeting? A buyer-seller meeting, by definition, is exactly what it sounds like. It's when the buyer and seller meet. Now, typically a buyer-seller meeting is a little bit more formal than what happens early on in the process. So they'll complete their non-disclosure and then they'll get some information about the business. So they'll find out who it is, where it's located, the products, the services, the employees, a bunch of stuff around the business. They'll get some high-level financials. From there, they're going to make a decision on, is this a business that I'm interested in pursuing? So what we'll do is we'll either set up a call with myself as the broker and I'll answer some of their higher level questions, or a lot of times we just jump right to a phone call or a Zoom with the seller. These folks need to meet. So a buyer-seller meeting is the time for the buyer and seller to really start building rapport. If you remember from some of our previous examples, we use the example of buying a house and how buying a business is so much different than that. So another key difference when you buy a business as opposed to a house, you can buy a house and never see the seller. The buyer and seller can never meet. Seller's moved all their stuff out, buyer moves in, they sign their papers at a different time. When you buy a business, you're going to be spending time with this person. So there is training and transition, and that can last anywhere from 45 days up to sometimes years, depending on how the deal is structured. So really understanding and building rapport is one of the more critical success factors in business acquisition. You have to like the person that you're buying the business from. The seller has to like the buyer because they're going to be working together for a period of time. So we start building rapport in a buyer-seller meeting. The other thing that a buyer-seller meeting does is it allows us to start getting into a little bit more detail about the operations of the business. We can talk about processes, we can talk about the products, we can talk about how pricing is done, we can talk about personnel. And typically these meetings happen away from the business so that it can be an open and honest conversation without prying ears or people that are walking by and wondering, hey, who are all of those people in the conference room? So a buyer-seller meeting is really the time for the buyer and seller to start building rapport, get a little bit more information about the business, a little bit more detail on the operations of the business, and really start diving into the specifics of how this business operates and how it makes money. Now, keep in mind, I didn't say anything in here about diving into finances or writing an offer or negotiating. Buyer-seller meeting is really at the core of a buyer-seller meeting. It is for the buyer and seller to really start building a relationship and understanding the business. And in our next video, we'll talk about how to craft an offer. So that's the step that comes after this meeting. So we've met with the owner, we like the business. Now let's start taking a dive into the finances of the business and crafting an offer. And that's going to be the subject of our next video. I hope this video on buyer-seller meeting was helpful for you. If you have any questions about anything or want to just schedule a conversation with us to learn more and dive deeper into buying or selling a business, feel free to reach out. My email is andy@kcapex.com and my phone number is 913-433-2310. Until next time, thanks for watching.